real quick, before we jump into the content, I want to talk to you about something new that we have going on. So below, you're going to see a link below in the comments, a link to our new private Facebook group. So we've got a GSD Mode private Facebook group that's dedicated to those of you that like watching the show, that enjoy the show, that get value out of the show. It's a place for you to go to mastermind with other GSD Mode fans. You can go in there, make sure that you're not missing out on any of the content. All the episodes will be in there from leveling up to interviews, so to make sure that you're not missing out on the content, but again, gives you the opportunity to mastermind with other like-minded people. You guys can sit there and mastermind on how maybe the content, interviews, different things that you're applying to your life, what's working, what's not working, and gives you that place to go out there and mastermind. So click below, check that out. Also, any promos, specials that we have going on will be posted inside that group, and we're going to be creating some private content that just will exist in that group. So make sure you click below. This is a private group, so click below. We'll make sure to get you approved right away and get you rocking and rolling inside the group. Also, want to give our sponsors a quick plug that make all of this possible. Our first sponsor is Perfect Storm, www.perfectstormnow.com. It's the real estate software that I use in my business. Helps me go out there and generate well over 1,200 free leads every single month and over 30 paid leads every single day in my real estate business. It's the most effective, affordable lead generation, front-end branding website that exists out there. So go check us out, www.perfectstormnow.com. Also, my 90-day mastery bootcamp. If you're looking for a mentorship in your real estate business, if you're looking for a coach, it's by far the most effective, affordable, hardcore coaching platform that exists out there. I give you my whole entire playbook. I walk you through it. I show you what we're doing to go out there and sell over 2 homes every single day, and what we're doing to go out there and produce at the high level that we produce. The whole entire program, you guys, is only $997. You know, right? This took me 11 years to learn this content. I've reinvested over $5.8 million back into my real estate business to learn this content. For only $997, I'm delivering it all to you. 3 hours every single week of hardcore coaching, Q&A, you get daily access to me throughout the program for a full 90 days. So go check that out, www.90daymastery.com, promo code LIVEMASTERY, all caps, all one word, all together. And if you go through that program, then you're given the opportunity, you don't have to move forward, but you get the choice to move forward to our private Mastery alumni group. So that's continued mentorship for as long as they want to continue with me. We have 2 in-person masterminds. It's the only group that I do in-person live hardcore masterminds twice a year, 20 hours at each event. It's only $50 a month, right? So if you want to take your life, your business to the next level, go check us out. All right, let's jump in today's content. Hopefully you guys enjoy this content as much as I enjoy it. What's up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD interview. Every single week, we interview top entrepreneurs and just straight up top badasses that are out there dominating their spaces. There are people that are out there doing big things with their world, doing big things in life, choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead go out there and create greatness for themselves and their family. So today, you guys, we got a great guest on, a special guest on. This is a guy that's doing massive things in the real estate business, uber successful entrepreneur. So really stoked, honored, and excited to have Greg McDaniel on the show. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Joshua, dude, I cannot wait to break it down for your people, man. I know we were doing our pre-show conversation, and we were going to knock the shit out of this conversation because, you know, a lot of people want to hear about my past history. You're putting together a private group. A bunch of my fans are piping in. We're going to answer some questions from them. You guys are going to hear my origin and then everything else in between. So I'm honored and blessed to be here, my friend. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, no, I've been waiting for this for a while, dude. I mean, we did a show together recently with a mutual friend of our, Matt Johnson, that was on Inman. I had no idea it was going into Inman, but
you didn't?
No, I had no idea, dude. I had people reach out to me like, dude, did you know that you're in the, this deal? I'm like, no, man, I had no idea. I'm like, I was traveling. I was in my buddy's basement.
Yeah, I remember you were like going from place to place. You're like, all right, guys, I gotta go upstairs. I gotta hammer all this stuff out. We're like, all right, bro, later. And Matt's like, I don't think he knows he's going on Inman. We're like, I don't give a shit. This is a great interview. We're just gonna knock it out of the park.
Yeah, no, it was dope, dude. So, dude, I know you're doing big things today, man. You have a very successful real estate business, hardcore prospecting based. You know, I heard a stat the other day that you've done like 90,000 dials in the last couple of years, just crazy shit, right? But before we get into what you're doing now, man, I'm always curious with all entrepreneurs that we have on the show, like what led you into this journey, dude? Entrepreneurs are a different breed. It takes a crazy individual to become an entrepreneur. Like, what led you on this path to becoming an entrepreneur?
Mental instability. But realistically, what really happened is that I got out of high school. I really didn't have any other options. I applied to one school, Marymount in LA, to go to school. I went down there and I got a doctorate, a PhD, and a master's in drinking, drugs, and girls. And I barely attended class, had no drive in life. After 2 years of wasting my parents' money, they grabbed me by the hair and dragged me up to Northern California, where I was fat and hairy. Started working in a warehouse, and I mean, I was like the grunt's grunt. I mean, they created a position of gruntness on the bottom tier just for me, and I was having a good time. I was working with my buddies, and I thought it was good. And my dad kind of gently nudged me multiple times, like, "Hey, Greg, why don't you do real estate? Why don't you do real estate?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to do real estate. That's what Dad does. That's what you do. It's not a real job. Get out of here. Leave me alone." Finally, he convinced me into doing it, so I'm like, all right, fine. I'll go and I'll do it for a couple months, make the old guy happy, move back down to LA, be a movie star. Well, 16 and a half years later, yep, this pretty much looks like Danville. Does not look like Hollywood. But I started doing this, and I made way too much money. Way too much money as a 21, 22-year-old kid. Owned a couple $1 million homes. I owned really nice cars. I traveled the world at a whim, go out for dinner for $1,000 or more on a Wednesday night because it was Wednesday. And I didn't deserve it. Then 2007 happened, the crash took place, lost everything. I went through bankruptcy, foreclosure. I lost the woman I loved. I had to give up, everything that I held, close to my heart. I went down to $35 to my name. Literally $35 to my name. I had no other option. I remember this so clearly. I was staying in this rental in a city called Lafayette, and this house was probably built in the 1920s, 1930s, hadn't been upgraded ever since then, no joke. And I was laying there scared shitless because I had bills I had to pay, and I had $35. Then I realized I had $200 in traveler's checks. So I just quadrupled, my net worth in one find. And I said, okay, this is where I'm gonna either shit or get off the pot, and I have to make a choice. So I got up the next morning, made the decision that I'm gonna fight back. I'm not gonna let it kill me. And as I struggled through that, I put a tie on, a dress shirt on, some slacks on, had to borrow my dad's old tie because I didn't have any. And I door knocked and cold called from that day forward for 3.5 years, nonstop. 2 of those years was 7 days a week. And then I dialed it back to 5 days a week after, into year 3. And what I learned along the way is that incredible hard work is going to give you incredible results and rewards. And so I said, okay, so what's missing in the industry in different parts of the business? And I started finding the holes that I can really excel at. And since I didn't have, like you mentioned, about 90,000 cold calls, when I started, again, $35, so I only did it for 25. I only did door knocking. I couldn't afford a dialer. Once I could afford a dialer, then I started doing the cold calls. I do 500 to 750 phone calls a day. My highest number of calls I ever did was 1,131 phone calls in a single day, and it really is the grind. It is truly the grind that taught me and kind of molded me into being the entrepreneur that I am now. Like you're starting multiple different companies. My partners and I are launching another company in September or October that's going to fill a gap in an industry that we have a love affair for. But it was the fear of being mediocre. It was the fear of having to give in and give up and go get a 9 to 5 and have to say, okay, it beat me. There was not a chance in hell that was going to happen to me. And 90% of the people out there don't do it because that's too hard of work, that horrible 4-letter word, WORK. And yeah, that's really kind of my grind, man. I was asked to be head of my corporation, their training department. So I head that up now because they saw me grinding it out. And then we started our Matt and I have our 2 podcasts, and then we have our 3rd company that we're starting. So yeah, it just falls in order. When you're ready for it, the universe is going to open up, and it's just going to take and grow from there. And a lot of people they want to have the end result before they have to put the hard work in. That's why so many people in business and every other industry are going to fail out of it, because they see the people at the top, but they don't see the work that has to go in to get to the top. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, I had a dude recently text message me. He's like, I'm struggling, man. I've been in this business for 2 years. I'm a fan of the podcast, but I haven't closed a deal. I'm struggling. What advice would you give me? and I'm like, bro, if you watch the podcast, unless you're a fucking complete you just can't fathom, you're just an idiot. It's because you're fucking lazy. It's because you're not out there grinding and doing the work, and it comes down to the work. You don't need to be the smartest person. All these people, it's just this limited belief that they think they have to be gifted or whatever. No, you go out there and grind 80 hours, 100 hours a week. You're gonna figure it out and get it right. So real quick, before you lost it all, dude, what were you doing at that point? And sorry if I missed it, but when you made all that money or living in these homes, what were you doing at that point in your world?
Fucking nothing, dude.
How'd you make the money?
Nothing. The team structure, the way that our real estate team was set up is that I would get a portion of every single deal that came through. So
you weren't in real estate at that point. You jumped in the real estate game, so you created success. You just really weren't paying attention. You lost it.
Right.
So then you jump back into it. You lost everything. You jump back into it. So you had some lessons learned. You had some past experience that you were able to grow on it and go for. So let's talk about that, dude. Let's talk about, okay, you're back at it. I know you talked about just grinding, working, whatever, but I also know a lot of people that grind and work, and they're still broke. So you obviously were grinding. It's not about how hard you run. You have to run in the right direction to see the sunset, right? So you learn these lessons. Now you're out there grinding. You're still grinding 80, 100 hours a week. What were your focuses? What were those things day one that you went out there and started doing as you were rebuilding? What were those focuses you were grinding on that helped you recreate the right, correct success?
So this really thick folder you see here, dreams and goals, man. Dreams and goals. What I did is I set up a dream board on Pinterest. I set up a dream book that I carried with me. I identified exactly where I wanted to go and what I wanted to get when I got there, and I reviewed it on a daily basis. I also started studying, energy releases and meditation and stuff like that. I started reading a lot of books. I started educating myself. Again, I remember I came out with a PhD, doctorate, and MBA in drinking, drugs, and girls. Not one of those have to do with anything that's practical in life. So the thing that I really set my sights on is where I wanted to go, and then educate myself on a daily basis. I listen or read. I have my phone charging. This thing is constantly glued to my head with my headphones, and what it's doing is I'm listening to a book or an Audible book. I'm listening to a podcast like yours. I'm listening to Audible.com now has something called channels where you have different articles read to you from different publications. So it's constant education and growth. If you're gonna get to the top, you have to be the smartest one you don't have to be the smartest one in the room, but you do have to be smarter than you were yesterday. Bill Gates, Richard Branson, who else is it? Steve Jobs. They were all interviewed, and they all answered remarkably the same thing. If they had one thing they could be better at, what would it be? All of them said that they wish they had more time to read. And so when I heard that, I'm like, okay, so how do I find more time to read? Most people don't do it. And so what I did is, in the car ride, guys, to and from, there's a national study done that, average car, what do you call it? Commute. God, I'm losing my mind. Commute to work is 25 minutes. From work back home is 25 minutes. So you basically have an hour of time that you can be listening and educating yourself. The national average for a human or American that reads a book, they usually read one book a year and generally don't finish it, and it's some sort of a novel. So imagine if you read 1 to 2 books a month. Imagine how much smarter you would be. And so when I started hearing that stuff, I said, okay, I'll call bullshit on this. Let's see if this shit's for real. And so I started reading, I started listening, I started studying, I started working on my dream board and my goals. Dude, Joshua, I gotta tell you, man, shit came out of nowhere so fast when you started focusing your energy on it. And that is really what really pulled me out. That's really what got me to where I am now, into my next levels as I continually grow. You can never stop growing.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. And same thing with me. People were always like, dude, like my third year in the business, I went from doing 280 in commissions to 1.3 million. And they're always like, dude, like what revolutionary new thing did you start doing? I'm like, I just went to work on me, bro. Like it was the dude showing up doing the activities that changed. And of course, so that spawned into, hey, that taught me how to go out there and hire and delegate and leverage properly to continue growing my business. So I couldn't agree more. Self-development's critical. Okay, so you're learning all this. You got the self-development, but what about the tactical shit? Like what at that point, go from being like making massive amounts of money, losing everything. You're worth $35. Now you're self-developing. But what was the tactical day-to-day stuff? Because a lot of people that are listening to this, watching this, so they may be struggling. Like, okay, look, dude, I'm reading the books, man. But I know a lot of people that read the fucking books and are massively broke, dude. And I think we're in this almost a stage of over information and not enough action. So like, what were the action steps that you started doing instantaneously that started creating the success back for you?
Getting the fuck off the couch. Actually following through on what these things talked about. My tactical moves were, I figured out where my strengths were and where my weaknesses were. And I knew for a fact that when I was started in the real estate business, like I told you, I came back fat, hairy, and like a drunkard from college. My father wouldn't let me near someone, so he sent me door knocking for a year straight, 5 days a week, 6 hours a day. My ass was door knocking. And so I would say, I'm really, really good at door knocking. So let's start there. Let's build a base. Let's do what I'm good at. And then I pushed myself every single day to do one thing that either made me nervous or made me afraid. Eleanor Roosevelt said, you know, the classic saying of do one thing every day that scares you to death. So I did it. No matter if it was maybe talking to a hot chick, if it was going to that last door, it was making that going to that, FSBO, call, whatever it was. My tactical moves were find out what I'm good at, see where I want to go, and put together an execution of a plan. And you have got to have a why that's so strong within inside of you that it will overcome and circumvent anything that hinders you and stops you from going out and getting your goal. So you guys that are sitting on the couch scared or whatever else or nervous, what's your why? Simon Sinek has a book that says Starting with Why. If you guys don't know Simon Sinek, go check him out on YouTube. He's absolutely amazing. He'll change the way you think. But I figured out what my why was. My why was I never want to be in that situation again. And so that's what I did. I just got out of my own damn way and started putting action that I learned from the books. And most people are they're so good at reading self-help, but they feel good about it. They never put it into action because they feel good about it. And that's where there are chronic, self-help gurus out there that will suck your money out of you because they just give you feel-good shit. But you've got to go out and do the work. Nobody is going to give you the money. Not even the lotto will give you money. You will lose it. If you win the lotto, like the $541 million that's up right now, which is absolutely asinine. But I mean, if you attract it into your life, it's going to leave you at some point. So you got to become a better person. What was the saying? This is the one I want? It's not what you want to be, but who you need to become. And so I had this posted on my wall until they repainted everything this week. And I looked at it and I read it every single day. I'm like, it's not what I want, it's who I need to become. So who do I need to become? I need to become this person. Great, what does that person look like? This person looks like this, is educated at that, so on and so forth. And I went right down the channel, and that's where I ended up today.
So you're out there door knocking, man, which turned things around for you. When you're door knocking, like what doors do you knock and what do you say to get business?
Every single door. Our right outside this wall, right behind this camera, they're all multi-million-dollar homes. So we're a luxury marketplace. I walk up to the door. I say, hi, my name is Greg McDaniel. I'm with the McDaniel Callahan Real Estate Team. It's either I'm talking about it just listed, just sold, we have a buyer for the market area, we're inviting to an open house, or I'm just mainly prospecting. So I just sold a home. It's an easy one. There's a home that just sold around the corner. It sold for, $46,000 over its listing price, and it did it in 5 days. So I'm coming out here and I'm just kind of letting you guys know the good news that the market is still appreciating, and wanted to just see if you had any questions about the market, maybe, or about the home, or maybe if you guys are maybe thinking about making a move, that maybe we can take advantage of these prices. You have that conversation, then you work down the script of the family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, the Ford script that you work down to get a conversation going, build a relationship in trust, and then go on from there. And it doesn't matter what kind of marketplace you're in. I don't care if they're $20 million homes, guys. There's still humans that are behind that door that put their pants on one leg at a time. If you're not in real estate, you got to think about any other industry. The people that you're going after, they want what you're selling, but they don't want to be sold. It's a cliche, I get it. But if you have to go in there without having commission breath and be willing to build a relationship and do something for them, if you give something to someone first and they will be much more likely to give something back. The law of reciprocity kicks in. So what can you give? What is your value add to these human beings? Is it information, time, a product? What can you give to them that'll make their life better? As soon as you solve that, then they're going to automatically want to help you.
All right, so you're knocking on my door. I'm like, Greg, awesome meeting you, bro. Congrats on the recent sell, dude. I'm not looking at selling. We just bought this house a year ago. No interest in selling, because that's the reality of it. Like I had a team meeting with all my 25 teammates, and I'm like, dude, how many of you are looking to buy and sell a house right now or in the near future? Not one raised their hand. So I'm like, why are you guys getting so bent out of shape when all of our prospects are looking to buy or selling? It's a long-term relationship game. The game is get people to know you, like you, trust you, be aware of what you do for a living, stay in touch with them frequently. Your business will grow. So what does that value add look like at that point when they reject you to stay in touch with? So in 7 years when they're ready to rock and roll, they know you, remember you, and have somewhat of a relationship with you.
So so you want to know how I'm going to get a lead out of that person if they're not going to be doing anything, right? Okay, so this is what we do. We came up with this. We call it the carousel. And so what I do is, so you're at the front door. I'm facing you, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to come around to your shoulder. So I'm going to break the personal space bubble. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to say, Joshua, I totally appreciate it, man. I get it. But what about these people, those folks, these house, that house, this house, this house? I go all the way around out all the neighbors. Then I step out from where you are, come back out in front of you when the bubble of personal space is regained. And then it's incredibly awesome to watch how often, it's 9 times out of 10, that what they're gonna do, you would say, well, Greg, the people next door, they're a young couple, they just had twins. The people next to them, older couple, very nice, lived here forever. That's a rental over there. This is a young, an entrepreneur, he's always traveling. This couple, wow, if you can make them move, they are just, God, all they do is fight. This couple has been talking about selling for a couple of years, not sure what's going on, and so on and so forth, right? Well, what happened in that scenario right there is 2 things. One, I just found out the couple next door had twins, okay? Now, do we know what that bedroom count is? If it's a 3-bedroom house and they need an office plus a spare room, well, that's a potential sale right there. The couple that's always fighting, that might be an opportunity. I told you there was a rental over there. Great. Go over to that rental, write that address down, go right to the owner of that property, take a photo of that home, and say, hey, Joshua Smith, I know you own 123 Main Street. I know it's one of your rentals. Here's an updated photo of it. Just wanted to let you know what the front of your home looked like and see if you're interested in potentially doing a 1031 exchange in selling this home. So you just pick up multiple different buyers or potential sellers out there just by asking, because you have intel and market knowledge that I have no way of knowing. And if you're going to stay, I'm not going to push you. Because, dude, let's face it, you can draw a seller out, okay? You can never push a seller out of their home. So if I bring value to you and give you some good information and maybe help you get rid of that annoying neighbor that fights, or help get that rental that's a POS and turn it into a nice upstanding piece of property in the neighborhood, then I'm bringing value to you. And I'm not being a traditional salesperson.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up, dude. I think so often us as real estate agents, we think that we're the norm. Yeah. Right? And it's like, as you're saying that, I'm like, dude, like, I don't know one of my neighbors. Like, I'm the guy that leaves before everybody else. I get home later than everybody else. Like, I pull into my garage, I shut the door. Like, I'm that dick, guy. But that's not everybody else. So sometimes I think as these driving entrepreneurs, like, we forget that the consumer out there has this intel. Just because we don't doesn't mean that's what the consumer has. And yeah, so I love that you brought that up, dude. So
But your wife's home though, right?
Yeah.
So she knows the neighbors. So I wouldn't be talking to you. I'd be talking to your wife.
Yeah.
And then she'd be like, "Oh, Greg, you're so nice. These Great, thank you so much. And we're moving forward." And then you're gonna come home and be like, "The fuck you talking to this asshole for? Stop opening the door to strangers."
Yeah, no, I love it, dude. So dude, then at what point did you transition? Like, what led you're having success there? And I don't know if you're still door knocking today, but I know you're crushing and killing on the phones. What led you then from that into discovering the phones and now pounding the phones the way that you do?
what really was that transition point is that I was starting to look at my leverage of time, and I was saying, okay, I've been doing doors for, I don't know, what is it, 10, 15 years at that point, whatever it was. And I said, okay, I can do 25 doors an hour in our marketplace. There's got to be a more efficient way to touch more people in a shorter amount of time. What can I do? Also, I was getting really tired of sorting my balls off out on our summer days out here, coming back just drenched and just exhausted and sunburned. And so I'm like, okay, someone else has got to have a better idea. So I started looking and I'm like, oh, phone calls, or I started asking people and they're like, oh yeah, there's triple line dialers. I'm like, oh, what's a triple line dialer? This sounds interesting. And I found out, I use Mojo Selling Solutions. That's who I use. I know a lot of people use Vulcan, and I use a lot of people use some other stuff, but I'm like, okay, triple line dialer. And for me, I'm the type of guy that I'm always like, I always go way bigger than most people do, because I'm like, triple line, well, that's 3 times more effective. I wonder what I can do. So I started messing around with it. Did I trip, fall, and land on my face? Absolutely, I did. But when I started getting involved in it, I can now do 124 to 126 phone calls per hour with a connectivity rate between 7 and 15%, depending on the area and the time of year that I'm in. So I was leveraging my time as much as possible. So I could do, 500 phone calls in 2 blocks of 250 and not burn myself out, and still have time to do the follow-up calls and everything else. So to answer your question in a very short way, I got tired of sorting my nuts off, and I needed more time in my day. That's what it was.
I love it, man. I got one of my teammates, dude, that loves door knocking, right? And at a team meeting, I asked him, I'm like, what's your best piece of advice? And his best piece of advice was the type of underwear to wear, dude, when you're out there door knocking. He's like, dude, otherwise, man, you have other issues you never plan on having without this. So
Shapage in the worst places.
So, dude, I recently started a private Facebook group for the GSD Mode podcast. Well, we could just propose, hey man, I got Greg coming on the show. What would you guys ask me, or would like me to ask him? Because we have a lot of mutual fans, like a lot of our guests do. So I got a series of questions, and most of these are about your phone calls, dude. So I figured this is a good segue to bring these up, man. So Mark, the first question. So our mutual friend Josh Bryan, who's an amazing cat, he says, "Get ready for some f-bombs, ha ha ha." Right? So I love that kid, man. He's a killer, man. So then Mark says, "What's the best and quickest way to diffuse an angry, expired, or FSBO when calling him on the phone?"
You say sorry. It's very, very simple. You say, Joshua, you're exceedingly pissed off at me for calling, and I'll say, you know what? My deepest apologies. I did not mean to anger you. What I'm doing today is I'm just doing a couple of quick cold calls today, and I'm just trying to put some food on my table and clothes on my back. Is there a better time that maybe you and I should talk, or is there any information I can send you? I didn't mean to disrupt you. And but it has to do with your tonality as well. Because if you're like, hey, I'm sorry, man, I didn't mean to piss you off. I mean, shit. I mean, I'll stop by your house and drop something off, huh? Well, that's not very soothing, okay? But if you're like, oh, dude, I am super, super sorry. I did not mean to intrude. I'm just trying to do my job, man. Like, you can probably respect that, right? I'm just trying to do some cold calls and just follow up with folks and just see if there's anything I can do to bring value to you. Is there an opportunity to maybe give you a call back at another time that's more convenient for you? I did a couple of things. That tonality change. Also, I've found in doing the cold calls, if you tell people exactly up front what you are doing, tell them, hey, I'm doing cold calls today. It's magical almost, because you take all the fight out of the dog. They know what you're doing. You tell them what you're doing. You're not trying to hide it from them. You're not trying to persuade them into something. You're like, yeah, I'm doing cold calls. That's exactly what I'm doing. But that's the way I do it. And if you're out, cold, if you're door knocking and the same thing happens, and they say, get the fuck off my porch, and you're just like, absolutely, there's no problem here. But I will tell you one of the funnier responses I had to a lady who was so mad she probably wanted to boil my skin off. She came in and she got on the phone. I did my little spiel and she came up. She's like, F-bomb, 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 F-bomb. And I'm like, even for me, that was a lot of swearing. And my blood pressure rose. Then I'm like, hold on, she's not mad at me. She's mad at what I'm talking about. So I take a deep breath. I'm like, ma'am, I just really wish I was there. Because it sounds like you just need a big hug. I got a fuck you click. But it was funny She never called. I never haven't talked to her again. But use humor into it, guys. You got to understand that they're not saying no or angry at you. They're angry at what you're bringing to them. Okay? There's only 3% of the people that actually want to do something right then. So you have a 97% chance of failing right off the bat. There's another 5 or 6% that are going to do something down the road. So you have about an 80% overall fail rate. But that 10% that are actually going to do something with you, awesome responses, and you have to be willing to go through those no's to get to the yes. You know, Darren Hardy, I'm sure that you know, he was a real estate agent for a while, and when he wanted to get into the, you know, if you guys haven't read the book, it's called The Compound Effect. I know, Joshua, you've read this thing, and he talks about, you know, went to a seminar and he took the seminar director out for lunch, and he said, "Okay, Mr. Seminar Guy, I want to succeed. How do I succeed the fastest?" And the seminar guy goes, "You have to fail as fast and as often as humanly possible." And Darren's like, no, you misunderstood my question. How do I succeed? He's like, that's what I mean. Because the pendulum of success swings equally in the pain and success categories. So if you can go out there and find things that are going to be the most painful thing you can possibly do, you know, expireds, FSBOs, make me moves, door knocking, cold calling, following up with anything, those are painful. Find as many of those as possible, because your success will swing equally in return. So when that person yells at you, say, "Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day." That's how I would do it. I love getting yelled at. I actually do. If I don't get literally, I make it a competition. Like, how bad can I get yelled at in a week? If I don't have a good story, it means I didn't do my job.
Yeah, dude, I dig it, man. I can't agree more, man. I've had guys, a guy at one point asked for my office address. He was wanting to come in and fight me. What's your office address, man? I'm gonna come down there and whoop your ass. And same thing. Sincerely apologize. Not my intention of upsetting you. You know, blah blah. And immediate response was, "Dude, look, I'm so sorry. Just got a really bad beating. I took it out on you." And I'm selling my home 3 months later, and we're still friends to this day. You know, like you have no idea how this stuff goes, and a lot of times we take it so personal, but we don't know the situation they just got out of either. What if they just found out like their kid got sick or they have cancer? Like we gotta not take the shit so personal. So another question from another Mark, a different Mark. How do you scrub the DNC list before calling?
Mojo has up their game in regards to scrubbing the DNC. They're going to give you platform A or platform B. One's going to be not so scrubbed. The other one's going to be super scrubbed. So that's how I'm scrubbing it now. You have to, mark out much larger areas to get, DNCs. I'm more of a guy that would rather beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. So I'm pretty much like, fuck you. I don't care if you're on the do not call list. By the way, don't call into senior facilities, guys. Like, we have a big one up here called Rossmore. Old people are mean. I mean, they are straight up mean. And I called them there by accident. It was not a good thing. But if I get someone on the DNC list, I'll say this. I'll say, "Hey, Joshua, I'm super, super sorry, man. I thought I scrubbed this thing, but there's always that, human error factor in there. What I can do for you is I can put you on my own personal do not call list, so you'll never hear my voice again. But I can't say anything for any other realtor. Is that okay with you?" And just offering that little level of like compassion, because they're getting hammered on phone calls, and at least you can say, "Hey, look, you won't hear it from me again." They're like, "Okay, that's cool." So that's how I handle it. I let the system handle it, and I apologize, and I put it on the DNC list. But the same thing for no solicitor door knocking. Dude, I don't give a shit. I will definitely knock on those doors. I mean, I love to knock on no soliciting doors. Why? Let me let you in on a secret. You're not selling a product. You're not selling candy bars, okay? Or magazines. You're providing information. So if they say, "Can't you read? It's a no solicitor," me being dyslexic and a smartass, I usually respond, "Actually, no, sir, I'm dyslexic." That's difficult for me. That gets a little interesting response from them. But if you go out there with the idea to bring value to folks, and the fact that you're out there to give information, then, I take it on as a challenge if you want to. But that's my answer, yeah. Why don't we try another type of prospecting? Okay, I mean, if you're going to be that petrified of it, look, you're not going to do it. Get on the McDaniel Challenge, and we'll spend an hour and a half to 2 hours of free coaching calls, and I'll walk you through it and find a prospecting method that you're actually going to want to do. In today's day and age, guys, there's so many different ways of prospecting. Just networking, going handing out this thing. It's called a business card. you know what? If you hand out 25 business cards a day and you love to be around people, your business will explode and you'll never have to do a cold call in your entire life. Look, calling for me, I did it out of necessity because I was climbing the ladder. I remember so clearly, I was talking to my buddy outside of my parents' house. We were having a big dinner, and he's like, "How you doing, man?" I said, "I'm doing well, man. I have $5,000 to my name." And at that time, that was a lot of money for me, right? And I did it because I had to. So if you want to get over it, you have to have a stronger why that's going to push you through that than letting you sit back on your haunches and just let the day go by. The way I really did it for me, the team was paying the $150 a month for the Mojo dialer. So I moved that over to my credit card. So every single month, if I wasn't doing it, I was burning my own money. That motivated the snozola out of me. And then I went and I booked it into my calendar and I left it as a bedrock in my calendar. So it's an unmovable. So, you know, from this time to this time, I am calling. End of story. I can't have anything else going on. Those that were really worked well for me.
Yeah, and I like your advice, man, of maybe it's time to find a different prospecting method, because I truly believe align with your strengths. I'm not a guy that's a cold caller. I've never liked cold calling. I never enjoy it, you know. But obviously, I've sold 5,000 homes. I've been able to do. I mean, we've set 8 appointments today off Facebook leads, right? Of people coming to me and open houses, and you know, what I love about this business is 1,000 ways to skin a cat. So I love, love that advice, man. So the next question is example calls and FSBO. So like what's your sample of your expired in your FSBO script? Like you call them up, I answer the phone. If I'm a FSBO and an expired, like what's your opening line?
So be very clear, guys. Our expireds, we have 14 of them since January. I mean, our expireds are just non-existent. Our FSBOs are almost non-existent. I mean, I'll default back to, you know, what Aaron Wittenstein does. I watch him on Facebook Lives every morning when he does his expired calls. And so it'd be like, you know, "Hi, is this the owner of 123 Main Street?" You're like, "Yes, it is." I say, "Okay, hey, my name is Greg McDaniel. I'm a real estate agent with J Rockcliff Realtors here in town. I noticed on the MLS that your home just came off the market today. And I was just wondering, how in the heck did that home not sell?" And then the dialogue will go from there. That line of how, and I was just wondering, how in the heck did your home not sell? It compliments the owners, but it also gives you the opportunity to dig a little bit deeper and see if there's an opportunity to get a listing appointment. So that's what I would do on that one. I honestly do a lot of circle prospecting. I have not really done a lot of FSBOs or expireds because they're just not here.
So when you do circle prospecting, I mean, are they true cold calls for you at this point, or have you circle prospects so much where they're like, I mean, they're in your database, you know them, and you continue just hitting that? Because a lot of people, to me, cold calling isn't, hey, a Facebook lead that's sent up on a website, an open house lead. That's not cold calling to me.
Right.
Yeah, right. So what does that look like for you on a daily basis? I mean, what percentage is new? What percentage exists already in your system?
So given the fact that we only connect with 7 to 15% in our marketplace of people that we actually ring out to and have a live conversation with, when I was first doing my cold calls, I got into a problem because, like, on any piece of paper here, let me show it like this. If you start doing circle prospecting, you're gonna have lines that are gonna overlap, right? So in that middle area where the lines overlap, you're gonna start calling the same people. And I found that people got really pissed about that. I had one of my friends, Shauna, her mom, she's like, "Greg, I've talked to you 3 times this week. I will call you when we're going to sell." I said, "Oh shit, okay, I gotta come up with a better plan." What's a better plan? Strategically map out market areas on a map, go by a grid system, and expand your marketplace. Now, the likelihood of me talking to the same people, it's a little bit on the light side, but yeah, I totally get where you're going with that. And if I have talked to them, then that's just a follow-up call, and they say, "Hey, yeah, I talked to you 6 months ago or 2 months ago," or whatever it is. We're thinking about doing something now, but I just gridded it out, and now I call there's about 120,000 houses that in a rotation of several different cities that I call in. So I try not to harass them. Also, with doing the calls, you need to be very aware that you don't overtouch these people because they get very, 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 very grumpy if you call them too much. It's like anything else.
Yeah, love it, man. So I got a few last questions for you, kind of rapid fire, as we're running low on time here. Next question is, okay, when you're reaching out to these people, and if somebody answers the phone, it's their kid or not the homeowner of the phone. Like, what do you say to get the right person on the phone when you're reaching out?
Say, hey, this is Greg McDaniel, McDaniel Callahan Real Estate Team with J Rockcliff Realtors. I'm doing some cold calls. I'm looking for, well, I'm dyslexic, so I don't really use the name, but if they, because I've butchered names way too often. But if I figure, oh, we're just renters. Oh, okay, not a problem. Just had a quick question. Have you guys ever thought about maybe, buying a property with the rates that they are right now and the programs that are available? Is that something that you've looked into? Or if it's the kid, dude, I don't even mess with kids. It's just like, oh, your son or daughter, oh, your parent, by any chance your parents at home? No, then okay, hey, not a problem. Just let them know that Greg McDaniel called. Thanks so much. And if they are home, great. Would you mind getting them for me? I have a quick question for them. I make it non-scripted, very much. Treat it like as if you're talking to someone, like a friend or an associate. You're like, oh, hey, is your parents home? Oh, they are? Well, can you get one of them? I just need to ask them a quick question. Oh, okay. Don't be scripted. That's what true scripty, I might say.
Yep, love it, man. So, okay, the vast majority of people that you're probably talking to up front are looking at selling. You have a conversation with them. What does the follow-up look like from there?
I ask them what, let's do it like this. How would I do this? Okay, Joshua, hey, I appreciate your time, man. You said you were thinking about maybe making a move here in a little while. Is there a day that maybe next week I could come on over, put my eyeballs on your property, go face to face with you, give you some information on our team, also walk through the home for a few minutes, kind of understand what all the upgrades you've done to it, so that I can come back and put accurate numbers together? Is there a day that would work best for you? Another opportunity, if they're not quite there yet, just say, hey, look, I'd love to stop on by and give you some information about us so that you and your family can understand who we are and what value add we bring. Is there a good day or time that I could just pop by for half a second and drop off some information, if that's okay? It's very soft. You want to bring value to them. You don't want to push them. It's very much like if any of you that have ever met a very large dog. My grandparents have a 95-acre ranch, and they had their max, like, I think 8 or 12 German Shepherds that were attack trained. And so my grandmother would always say, Greg, this is our new dog, Kate. How do you meet the dog? You walk up to it, you put your hand out to it, let them smell you, they back away, you back away, and let the dog come to you. It's the same way you work with clients. Introduce yourself, step back, don't rush them, or they're going to bite you or run the other way. Same thing.
Yep. Love it, man. Love it. So I know you're doing a lot of the dials now today. I mean, do you foresee yourself in the future getting to a point where you build out a team where you have an ISA in that position so you can continue? I mean, what does that look like? I mean, where do you see the future of this going for your own personal team?
We actually had an ISA. We've had several ISAs. For whatever reason, ISAs are not effective for our team or in this area. I've talked to several other agents. It just doesn't happen. So what I do is I just build in the time to do my prospecting. So if it's an hour, 2 hours a day, it just has to be done. This is just what has to be done to get the business. If I could find a solution that I could, take myself out of the day-to-day on that stuff, I would love it. But at this point, it's just not in the cards for what we're doing. Now, I know the technology is going to come down the pipe where you can do it. But I know that there's been some passing of laws lately that if you're dialing cell phone numbers from a multi-line dialer, you get fined up to $16,000 per phone call made. And so for that, I would rather have me on the line who knows how to handle it versus some ISA who's trying to follow some script, pisses someone off, we get reported, and then there's a shit ton of money that we have to pay. So that's probably how it's going to work for the foreseeable future. Or get someone to sit right next to me in this computer right behind me and have them do it where I can listen.
Yep. Love it, dude. Love it, man. So, just to give people an idea, dude, of what the day, I mean, what does it look like? Because I think so many people, they quit too early. They don't, oh, man, phones don't work for me. Well, shit, dude. Maybe they're hitting for an hour a day for 90 days. And they realize, okay, it's not working. Like what's the true, I mean, what does it actually take to be successful on the phones, dude? Because, I mean, from the outside looking in, they can't always fathom what it truly looks like. So what's a typical day look like for you? How many conversations? How many appointments? What does it really take to go out there and create a deal?
It's going to, for us in our market, it's going to take grit and grind. End of story. If you don't have either one of those, don't fucking do it. Do something else, all right? But if you're gonna do it, you gotta understand that for our marketplace, I know when I track my numbers, every 250 outbound calls, no, I don't care if I don't get them, or leave a voicemail, every 250 outbounds, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hours of my time, on the law of averages, I will get a legitimate client. So if you have nothing going on during your day, guys, do 2 batches of 250, get 1 to 2 to maybe 3 or 4, leads per day, and start growing from that point. Number 2, it is boring as shit to do cold calls. I mean, it is mind-numbingly boring. So what I do is I take my screen and I have one side that I have like social media, internet stuff, I'll have music playing, I'll have, research stuff on the web. The other side is my dialer, so that I'm constantly doing something. And then that little in your ear, you hear a little bing when someone logs on. Then you start your script, start talking with them. Keep your mind moving is the most important thing. And if you get super tired, pause it, go take a walk, go reward yourself in some way, come back when you're recharged, and go from there.
Yeah, love it, dude. Love it, man. So I know that you've got, you mentioned it earlier, you've got some coaching, consulting, some things that you do where people can get some more in-depth information on your exact scripts, what you're doing, see some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. If somebody's interested in this, man, somebody's like, dude, I want to work the phones, I want to cold call, I want to do what Greg's doing, take my business to the next level, where's the best place to go, bro, to learn more about you, to start following you, to start learning from you? Where's the best spot to do that?
There's a couple of them. Great question. I give out my cell phone on my podcast every single show multiple times, so I'll give it out to you guys as well. My cell phone, if you want to shoot me a text message or a phone call, is 925-915-1978. I will return calls. Facebook message me is a phenomenal way because I can shoot you a video, audio, or a written text back very, very quickly. So go follow me on just Greg McDaniel. And you go follow me there, watch my Facebook Lives and all the content I put out there. Then also just go to McDaniel Real Estate Systems or Real Estate Uncensored on YouTube, follow our channel, and you can reach out from there. So those are probably the 3 easiest ways to get a hold of me.
Love it, dude. What's happening in those Facebook Lives, dude?
Dude, I love them. Are you kidding me? It is like crack rock for me. I did 2 of them today, like I was telling you pre-show. I just have so much fun interacting with people, and we could go a whole nother hour. I know you have a hard stop here in a second, but I mean, they are an amazing opportunity to get out and showcase your area, your properties, your neighborhoods, your businesses in the different areas that you work. Build relationships with people. It is so cool, man. So cool.
Yeah,
are you doing them?
No, none.
Dude, you got to start doing them. I guarantee you, your personality, man, you'd get addicted to it like I am.
And we think about it. I had Aaron on the show recently, and I saw what he's doing, and I'm like, dude, yeah, we should probably open that up. Watch my ISA, because dude, my ISA our people kill it, dude, and see what they do, and but it's just fuck, dude. Time gets so limited, dude. It's
so limited.
To think about adding something else to my plate right now makes my head fucking burst, dude. So. Yeah, no, I love it, man, and people that are watching this show, a lot of our listeners, everybody's at different levels. I mean, we have people that are killing it watching the show, but we also have a lot of people that are getting started out, a lot of people that are in the corporate world that are wanting to transition into, whether it's the real estate space, entrepreneur space, making that transition. So they're watching this show right now to get that tactical information and that inspiration, motivation to go out there and create an epic life for themselves. So with that being said, man, do you have any last pieces of words, advice, inspiration that you'd like to give our people? Because you've been a dude that started with $35 to your name, that's went out there and created an epic life. Do you have any, again, words, inspiration, advice you'd like to leave them with to go out there and create that epic life for themselves?
Just believe in yourselves. Absolutely believe in yourself. Find someone that's a mentor. They don't even have to be alive. They can be a dead mentor. Go get a book. Go read about Abraham Lincoln. Go read about Bill Gates. Go read about, anyone, Sir Richard Branson. These guys that started with nothing and built it up, and really understand your why. So get a mentor, believe in yourself, and understand your true why you're willing to put yourself through this. Then review those things on a daily basis. Set up a dream board. Set up something that you're going to be able to look at, meditate on, really see yourself achieving these different things in the current day, not in the future. And that's what got me to where I am. My dreams. And I'll tell you one thing before we go. I wrote down in a very specific order certain chain of events. This took place about 1.5 years ago. At that point, I had absolutely zero a foothold in any of these arenas. They literally have come out exactly the way that I wrote them down. So write your goals down, review them on a daily basis, find a mentor, read, and understand your why.
Love it, brother. Powerful words, man. And to our listener base, I know in every podcast I say with this, you guys, but information without implementation is truly the start of delusion, right? It's not information that's power. It's taking that information, acting on it, taking massive action on it, implementing it into your lives that creates power in your worlds. Dude, Greg dropped so much amazing information on you guys, so much tactical knowledge information that you guys go out there and take action on right now. Make sure you take something that he shared with you. Take action on it right now. Don't wait. We'll have links below, whether you're listening to this or watching this, where you can go check out Greg and connect with Greg. Go check him out, implement right now, take action, and keep kicking ass. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. And Greg, this has been a massive honor, man. I really appreciate you taking the time of your day to be here, dude.
Dude, pleasure, my friend. Pleasure.
Yeah, keep kicking ass, my brother. And thank you guys for listening. We'll talk to you next time.